getting some
Oh,
news.
and this is Fokururu? Fetus. I'm gonna go on Fetus. With that said, like, give him a like, follow, and all that great stuff. If you like his stuff, if you watch this video, I have never seen him before. This is my first time seeing him just as much. But if you like him stuff, link in the description if you want to follow them, and also follow us and hit that bell so you get notified when we're on.
Stuff, so here's a bunch of ongoing manga recommendations. This one is low-key a cop-out since it's likely ending very soon and a new chapter is coming out literally today, so I hope it isn't the ending, but Shibaterian is a neat little horror manga. So Hajime Sato, a middle school outcast, finds a boy called Shibata buried under a cherry blossom with his head popping out from the ground. Sato rescues him and the two become friends, spending time together at Shibata's massive home, watching movies and just having conversations about whatever. The two eventually come up with an idea to create their own film and to showcase it at the school festival. Once they fail to get their movie to be shown, the two have a falling out and Shibata disappears. But 5 years later, Shibata returns with a mission to bring to reality some of the horrifying fantasies that Sato once told him about. So I knew instantly from seeing this character design that this manga was going to get pretty nasty, and I mean, this golly face could possibly do anything wrong, right? So I think Shibata's presence as a villain is comparable to that of Johann Lieber from Monster or Friend from 20th Century Boys. Overall, this manga has given me a decent amount of Naoki Urasawa vibes, but I'm not saying Shibaterian is on the same level as those stories, or that the villain is even on the same level, but what these stories do share in common is the overall driving force for the events being kind of just this overbearing presence of the main villain and the actions of the main villain kind of pulling the strings all along, as opposed to some grand agenda or goal from the protagonist side. So if those kinds of very villain-driven stories are to your liking, I do recommend Shibaterian. It also has a lot of plot twists and some cool eerie art as well as well-executed page turns. I think I want to recommend specific music for each of these two, since I know a lot of people like matching music for what they're reading.
Yeah, I'm not
recommend checking out Kazuki Izakai. Just shuffle play his stuff. I don't really have a specific album in mind right now. At Summer's End, a coming-of-age story with a twist of the lemon called love. Those always go well, right? Right? Fucking hell. At Summer's End drew me in mainly for its art style. I get that this isn't everyone's cup of tea, but I'm personally really impressed with how well Takeo Nishio manages to maintain atmosphere and convey emotions with so few brushstrokes. Like, genuinely, I don't even want to give you a proper synopsis for this one, because there's only 10 chapters out so far. You'll be better off just, giving it a try and experiencing it for yourself, blindly. But yeah, I will say that there's something eerie about this one, almost like something really big is looming in the background, and I look forward to seeing what that might be. This manga seems like a potential hidden gem that's worth it to hop onto early. I'd also stay on the lookout for when Nishio's other work hopefully gets translated, because I think this author has some serious potential. To go with this one, I recommend Yoshimi Battles the Pink Robots by The Flaming Lips. Oh, and by the way, if you're enjoying the video, consider leaving a like and subscribing if you want to see more. Thanks. The God Before Me. It's pretty surprising to me that there aren't really any notable
interesting title, The God Before Me.
Manga about chess. Well, this one isn't about chess either, sadly, but hey, shogi gets pretty close, right? Copium? Either way, The God Before Me is shaping up to become a pretty interesting shonen about a board game that, for all intents and purposes, might as well be chess. The protagonist Oraichi is interesting to me. He's an extremely proficient player, having reached a high rank in comparison to the average shogi player, but even though he's at the top, he's still at the bottom because he's just dead last in his own league. And this creates an interesting dynamic of him having all this merit and experience, but still having to grind like crazy, because as the manga explains, the shogi rank progression system is brutal as fuck. Add the fact that this character has a true love for the game he's dedicated his life to, seemingly a pretty different kind of love than most of his peers, plus the obvious mind gymnastics scenes that come with a story about a chess-like game, plus it's got some decent comedy, and I think we've got a nifty manga cooking here. It's definitely a lighter read than what I usually gravitate towards, but I think a light read is exactly what I need after all the shit I've put myself through in the past couple of years for this channel. And yeah, I advise you do the same every once in a while. I doubt this one will turn out to be a masterpiece or super deep or anything, but it's enjoyable without a doubt, and you don't always have to read the absolute fucking peak of peak that is out right now. You know what I mean? This is kind of like an appetizer or like a little snack after you're finished reading your soul-crushing fucking seinen stories or whatever. I recommend Binary Data Volume 1 by Alfonso Perudo for this one, if listening to the Death Note soundtrack feels too corny for you. Speaking of light reads, Shoujo Null is a fun little, well actually it's really not that, but it's a bit dark, but okay. So in this dystopian world, this is gonna sound so like, so fucking vanilla, but whatever. So in this dystopian world, humanity has created artificial life forms designed to be, well, slaves, essentially. The lie everyone has been fed is that these life forms known as Gijin are simply incapable of human emotion, but that's a false claim. They have specific devices in their brain that when removed, unlock their consciousness and they become just another living being. Well, so
why are you laughing?
Yeah, one of these Gijins, military grade by the way, manages to escape, removes the device, and yeah, she wants to destroy humanity. I know, it sounds really corny and standard, but this one is actually one of my favorites to read right now. Maybe even more so than a specific one coming later on the list that definitely needs no introductions, but I'm gonna talk about it a bit anyway. Okay, I'm yapping. So what makes Shoujo Null so fun? Well, first off, I really enjoy the dynamic between our protagonist Ryaha and the Gaijin Maria. Ryaha was the guy who originally found her before she even gained consciousness, and after seeing her go apeshit and killing a bunch of people, this guy doesn't dip, no. He stays with her, and when she's like, yo, I kinda wanna just, you know, wipe out the human race real quick, wanna help? He's like, yeah, sure, dope. Like, what the fuck? It's so ridiculous, but that's at the same time it's kind of not. When we learn about Ryaha's backstory and genuinely see how corrupt the world has become and how humanity essentially uses these life forms for twisted entertainment and kill them off for fun like they're completely disposable, because the sad truth is that they are, because they're mass produced. Like, yeah, nah, these two kind of have a point. No, Fukuro Fetus does not endorse genocide, just for the record, but the main villain of the story so far is essentially the entire police force, and it's actually hilarious how corrupt and twisted these people are. I gotta echo the comments on Manga Plus for this one. This is literally ACAB the manga, and I'm all here for it. Now, to be honest and fair, the first chapter does have really heavy Elden Lead vibes, but if you're thrown off
had that feeling
from the first chapter or the first couple of chapters, I'd advise you to read a bit further and really give it a chance. It gets really interesting at chapter 11. I recommend We're Not Here to Be Loved by Fleshwater for this one. Okay, calm down everyone, don't freak out, but I'm about to talk about the best new gen shonen out right now. Kagura nah, I'm kidding. So, Wild Strawberry is the manga that I have the highest expectations for currently. This manga has some of the craziest art I've seen in a hot minute. It's wild what artists can actually do when they're on a bi-weekly schedule instead of a weekly one, right? Go figure. Wild Strawberry is another dystopian story set in a world where a plant monster epidemic ravages Tokyo, infecting people and turning them into a life form known as Jinka. Our protagonist Kingo has a sister called Kayano who appears to be the only Jinka who doesn't go apeshit and kill humans, so obviously the government tries to kill both of them. So Kayane goes inside Kingo to save his life, and the mission seems pretty straightforward. Figure out a way to get rid of these goddamn plants. Now, I do admit that at times this story has been ever so slightly generic with the whole, oh, you're possessed by a monster species that has never shown mercy to humans, but you've maintained consciousness and can kind of control it, so are you good or are you evil or what? Cliche, but you know, honestly, cliches aren't always a bad thing. I think this specific one is usually a great plot device, and so far it's been well executed too. It's at around 15 chapters, and I think calling a story generic in its early stages is always kind of whack. Like, let it build up, for fuck's sakes. This is still very early, and even then, the way the story has been progressing so far, as well as what kind of characters have been turning up, I'm seriously looking forward to this with a lot of hope. And again, I cannot overstate how incredible the art is for this one. The character designs give me a bit of like 2010s emo nostalgia, which I love, and the designs of the Jinka are just the right amount of creepy and gory. There's a lot of well done page spreads and some downright beautiful coloration from time to time as well. This is definitely one that I hope I can just collect in physical form at some point in my life. I almost want to recommend the previous album for this one as well, but for the sake of variety, I'd pair this with Remember That You Will Die by Polyphia.
I'd like to propose a toast to my family.
Magical Girl Tsubame. I will not save the world. I'm convinced this might be the most underrated manga out right now. Magical Girl Tsubame looks cutesy and adorable at first glance, so I guess I kind of get if some kind of people brush it off, but at the same time, look into those eyes. Do you really think this one's gonna be all fun and games, man? In this world, the sky is covered with hearts. Yeah, it's still not all fun and games. From these hearts emerge something called notions that inflict people with a crushing emotion that lead them to their deaths. This one's actually kind of difficult and confusing to explain, but it gets even more confusing. So the protectors of the world are cute magical girls crafted by a mysterious organization, and their mission is to protect the world. Or is it? Dun, dun, dun. So what I enjoy about this one, in addition to it just having a lot of fun characters, is that the notions are based on the 7 deadly sins, and each of the sins has a larger notion that's connected to a specific individual's past experience with an emotion that mirrors that deadly sin, I guess. I know it's confusing, but just read it, I promise it makes sense. The way that much of this story kind of relies on the handling and conveying of these kind of unpleasant emotions reminds me of Bibliomania or even Homunculus to an extent. They definitely don't convey them in a quite similar way because this one just isn't visually as dark as those series, but their role in the story and in the plot serves a similar kind of purpose, I guess. This manga also has a decent amount of mystery because we still don't know much about the organization that essentially created all the main characters. And again, I gotta give it up for the art style. This one is very unique and weird, and I get it might put some people off, but there's some really cool coloration in this one, and I think this like overly cutesy art style in a story that is inherently a lot darker than it looks just makes it all the more fun. It's that same kind of juxtaposition that Pun Pun has, right? Yeah, but I don't want to accidentally spoil anything, so I'll leave it at that. I'm just baffled about why this one seems to have flown under so many people's radar. I recommend Sounds of Grieving by Fleshwater for this one. It's nothing like the other Fleshwater record I recommended. That one's more of a just depression metal record, I guess, but this one is more chill with lo-fi production, but still has kind of a dark underbelly, so I think it's a perfect fit for this manga. Okay, I think it's actually time now. So, Kagurabachi. Yeah.
I'll at least say this one's a bit of an upgrade from the last few videos we watched. Yes, the way his timing and pacing is a little slow, but he at least brought some animes that I actually haven't either paid attention to or seen.
Yes, for real this time. I know you've probably heard about it, but screw you, I want to give my 2 cents. So, yeah, it's pretty good. Cool swords and all that. I recommend Tub Thumper by Chumbawamba. Dragon Ball Super. Okay, no, I can't actually fucking recommend. Can't put Dragon Ball in another recommendation video. But I actually did catch up to Dragon Ball Super, and I fucking love it. Actually, nothing beats nostalgia for me. Midnights by Taylor Swift. Astro Baby. Out of all the out-of-pocket shit that authors have been putting into their series recently, I did not expect a newborn baby brawling it out with his mother while still attached to the umbilical cord and then launching a fucking massive piss attack at the MC's face to come from the author of Soloist in a Cage. If you've read Soloist in a Cage, you should know that Shiro Moria is capable of some awesome things, but I just gotta tell you, man, just be prepared for a bit of whiplash from whatever the hell Astro Baby has been cooking so far. Yeah, this one starts out as a pretty run-of-the-mill zombie apocalypse story, but quickly takes a U-turn. There's only 3 chapters out right now, so I don't have a lot to say about it, and I'm mainly recommending it because I like the author's previous stuff, and I mean, personally, I enjoy reading some bizarre shit, and this is definitely that. I recommend The by Trico. I definitely did not say the name incorrectly the first time. Lastly, I want to give 2 more recommendations to series that only have 1 chapter out so far, so I don't have a lot to say about these, but here we go anyway. So Dear Anemone just a couple of days ago released the first chapter, and it has a surprisingly similar concept as Wild Strawberry so far, with, you know, just plant monsters, I guess. And I'm excited to see where it goes, and I'm also kind of curious if the Wild Strawberry and Dear Anemone are going to go two completely different directions, or if they're gonna clash somewhere. And like I don't know, it's just weird to have two plant monster apocalypse-esque stories going on in this same magazine at the same time. Like, yeah, but we'll see. I guess also has incredible art, and it has an interesting main character, so you know, it has great potential. I just hope it doesn't, like, I'd feel so fucking weird if this one ends up being a lot better than Wild Strawberry, because I like Wild Strawberry so much, you know what I mean. And the other one is Navigatoria. I'm just gonna condense this into one sentence that hopefully catches your attention. So a young guy gets sent to space to take responsibility for a government settling and wants to become a dictator. I mean, that's about it. You have to read the entire chapter to kind of realize why that's so fucking weird and funny and interesting, but this one I'm not like fully convinced is going to be good. Like, everything else that I've recommended in this video is stuff that I genuinely think is good or has potential to really like pop off. But this one I'm just kind of like, okay, I just want to wait and see what happens, but I want to mention it anyway, so that maybe more people who might have just skipped it, because it doesn't have a very good cover art, give it a chance, because it did subvert expectations in the first chapter already, so you know, that's always good. I think that's it. I don't have any music to recommend for these ones, because you know, the vibes are not set in stone yet, but I guess check out my music then. Yeah, it's all available on all streaming platforms, and yeah, I don't know.
Alright, he's done. Alright, with that said, this is for Fetus. Go follow him and all that great stuff. I don't know if this is going to even be a video. I'm still kind of debating. I didn't say much about it, so it's not much reaction. It's more I just listened. But they are, recommendations nonetheless. So with that said, like, subscribe, share, follow, and comment. I hope you guys have a great one and all that great stuff. I know I could have finished this today, but I was having too much fun doing the little kitten right here. Don't know why I ended up just doing that, even though I was just supposed to do this for a quick lesson, but it is what it is. So with that said, have a great night. I'll see you guys tomorrow, and be safe, and have a great day and great night. All right. I'm gonna try our best to do the art stuff and see where that goes. So have a great night, guys. I'm out. Bye bye.